Notice in accordance to the new copyright regulations, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up, while similar content that we feature is kid-friendly. The context of the episodes address adults and inform them of said content within the research as consumers in service of their youth, in other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, rated TV 16 and up. And welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year veteran of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games as a writer, illustrator, editor, studio manager. And it is our Monday Comics News and Reviews Day. It's been kind of a long day. I had some extra curricular stuff I didn't expect to have happen. Got me all screwed up time-wise. That's why we're so late. I had to spend about 3 hours getting some medication for my father that should have only taken about half an hour. So that kind of got us screwed up for the day. But we'll get right into things. We got some questions this week. So let's go ahead and get into those. And Angela asks, have you seen Wonder Woman 1984 yet? Technically, no, I have not, because I just got it today on DVD. That is something that I will do and talk about later this week on Friday's show. We'll talk about Wonder Woman 1984 and some other movies, and I'll get into that later in the show. Our next question. When do you think you might watch shows like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier? It seems like you never watch these shows. Same with Mandalorian. From Sean. Answer. Get me a DVD. I don't have Disney Plus. If I had Disney Plus, I'd be watching it. It's that simple. But, when they come out on DVDs, and I presume they're going to come out on DVD at some point, I'll get them and watch them. Okay? I'll probably be, yes, I know I'm really late to the crowd and everything, but that's the way it is sometimes, So, all right, next question. It's from Roger M. You used to play baseball in your youth and into your early 20s. Do you still watch the game, and who are your favorite teams? Still watch the game, Cubs and Tigers, Chicago and Detroit. Pretty simple. Detroit got their butts handed to them today. I don't know if the Cubs won or not. They were winning the last I had looked, but it's the way it is. But I don't expect either team to make it to the playoffs or win this year, particularly. I figure they'll both be around 500 or a little bit above 500 clubs this year. So it'll just be, whatever it is. Alrighty. And if you have questions, you can reach me at the email you see on the address below, quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. That being said, let's go ahead and move along from our questions straight into our reviews. We start with Bass Reeves, number 3, from Allegiance Comics for $4.98. This is a book you can only buy at Walmart. Publisher is Allegiance Comics. The writer is Kevin, I thought it was Graveau, but apparently there's a different way to pronounce it. I don't remember, but I know it's pronounced differently than that because he was a guest on Graham Nolan's channel, and it was pronounced differently there. So I apologize to Kevin for not remembering, but I'll remember next time. Artist is David Brohawk Williams with colors by Gabe Altabe. The covers by Brohawk Williams with Kelsey Shannon. The genre is a Western, and it released, I believe, on March 31st, 2021. I just happened to see it in Walmart today and got it. I was very surprised to see it because I've been waiting for it for months. What it's about: Bass Reeves returns home empty-handed after a search for Yaqui, a criminal white man pretending to be a Native American Indian. He takes some home time, and especially some one-on-one father and son time with his son Benjamin, who just can't seem to keep out of trouble when his father's away. Meanwhile, the town judge wants Yaqui say Yankee, but they call him Yaki. Uh, but they want him caught and expects Bass to form a posse, but Bass doesn't trust most people, so a posse is out of the question. He still realizes he likely can't catch Yaki alone, so he seeks out the aid in the form of an Indian named Quoth, who was basically the real Tonto to Bass Reeves as the Lone Ranger, not Long Ranger. I don't know why it was typed that. Didn't catch that, sorry. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, Bass Reeves is an actual person who was a federal marshal in the West back in the Old West days, and was the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. After an, shall we say, an interesting introduction to one another, they begin to plan their next move against Yaki. My thoughts are, overall, it's still a good series. Williams' art is still the strong point for me, and it's what carries the book. I'm not sure why it took so long for this issue to come out. It's been like 4 to 6 months. It feels like it's been that long. I think issue 2 came out in either October or December of last year. So, I mean, I imagine COVID had something to do with it. And the fact that, well, based on what I've seen at Walmart, the books aren't exactly selling great. So might have waited a little bit longer before Walmart would even accept a shipment, for all I know. I really don't know what the hang-up is with that. Because it wasn't just Bass Reeves, it was the entire Allegiance line that's been late. So, I'm not blaming the creators by any means. It has to do with something, whether it's COVID or the relationship with Walmart or whatever. But anyway, I do hope that their schedule gets back on track, because having to wait months on end for regular comics as a comic shop is one thing. Having to wait for months on end when the only place you can buy it at is Walmart, if the store carries the comics, and not all Walmarts do, and then having to hunt all over any given store for it because no two stores place the Allegiance display in the same area. Some people have them in the arts and crafts section, some have them in the toy section, some of them have in the near the books and magazine section. It's just crazy. So it's really not easy to find. It makes it a real pain in the ass, and having books not coming out on time makes it all the more annoying and detracts from the enjoyment of the whole line. If the series wasn't as strong as it is, and in my opinion, only the Bass Reeves title is that strong, I probably would not be bothering because of this issue with Walmart. But anyway, I recommend it for ages 13 and up, and give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Let's take a look at some of the artwork. This is where Bass is talking with the judge, and he's explaining that he knows what he's got to do and get. He sees a pattern in the behavior of Yaki, and he can probably get him. But the size of his gang's pretty big, He's got 8 to 12 men in his main crew, but then he's got associates, and he doesn't know who all their, he recruits as he needs them, and he doesn't know who everybody is yet. And the judge thinks he's baiting him and everything, and you need to get some support, and he's like, yeah, but I prefer to work alone, and you know that. So they're having their discussion about that. Now they're in a saloon, and Bass is in the background watching this going on, where some white people are picking on an Indian Quoth, and Quoth just whips the crap out of everybody. And he goes, yeah, that's good words, And one thing I don't like in this panel is the weird lighting on the back of his head in the bottom right corner there. I mean, it works all right over here in the middle panel, so to speak, but on that back panel, it just looks really, really bad. Like he's got like a bald patch in the back of his head. I would not have done that. I would have just left it straight black there with no highlight to speak of. I don't think it was necessary, but that's the only thing I would change on that. But it looks kind of silly there, but it is what it is. It works for the upper panel, but it is what it is. Anyway, this is their encounter basically. He tries to offer him friendship, and they just get in a fight. I agree with you. Once they get done with each other, okay, yeah, we're okay. Yeah, when do we start going after the bad guys? We'll figure this out. But it's really a cool fight scene, and I thought that the artwork was really well done. I love the angle of the punch here. So other than that, really good, nice work. Overall, pretty well done. Really well done, actually. So let's go on to our next book, which is GIGA number 3. For $3.99. Publishers Vault Comics. Writers Alex Packnadell. Writer is John Lay. Colorist is Roche. Genre science fiction, released March 31, 2021. It's about Evan, who's the lead character in the series. His oldest friend, Aiko, returns to the area and reestablishes their friendship by giving Evan prosthetics so that he can walk. For those of you who forget, he's in a wheelchair and has no lower legs from the knees down. The authorities are still on the hunt for who's been destroying the GIGA buildings. GIGA are these giant robots that are now like just sitting there rotting as part of the cityscapes, and they've used the interior of the machines as their cities rather than anything else. Anyway, they're still on the hunt for the persons or parties that have been destroying these GIGA, and Evan proves that the person on the law enforcement is lying about evidence to Mason as the Order of the Red Relay investigate, even though the signs are sort of pointing to Evan to Evan himself. And when Mason goes to check on his source, he finds his source dead in their apartment. Meanwhile, another terrorist bombing in the GIGA remains has happened, and Evan's living GIGA AI character, who's losing its memory, stumbles out in the public and gets discovered. The audience is at first led to believe the worst, but it turns out Aiko is the one who discovered the GIGA AI, and when Evan returns home, he discovers Aiko repairing it. Now, there's a lot going on, and the writer is offering up a lot of misdirection and red herrings to keep the suspense and mystery going. Sometimes I think he's got too much going on. He's deliberately trying to leave out pertinent information to the audience by trying to keep the point of view entirely Evan's, which means he wouldn't have all the information. And would be something of an unreliable editor, or unreliable point of view narrator. But ultimately, you either make him an unreliable narrator, or he's breaking point of view and being an unreliable, omnipresent, omniscient narrator, and he can't seem to, Alex Packnadell can't seem to get it right between the two. It's the only weakness of the book that I can really see. The art's solid as usual, no hang-ups there. Overall, still an above-average book. Recommended for ages 16 and up, and it is 3.5 stars. Let's take a quick look at some artwork from it. This is where one of the people basically blows himself up and destroys one of the GIGA buildings. And it's kind of interesting because it's like this has nothing to do with Evan or anything like that. It's just a random kid that's like part of this little cult that's against different things going on. So Our next book is Shadecraft #1 for $3.99. Publishers Image Comics. The writer is Joe Henderson. Artist is Lee Garbett, with colors by Antonio Fabela. The genre is horror, released March 31st, 2021. And what it's about: Zadie Lou, his character on the cover, is an average teenager with a tragic history. Her brother Ricky, the most popular kid in school, lies at home in a coma after as an yet unexplained event. She's been sort of ostracized by the other students, even her mother, and now she just maybe screwed up her friendships that mattered to her. She thought a guy was interested in her. She kissed him, and turns out that wasn't what he was trying to say, and now it's kind of awkward between them. Anyway, but something even worse is about to happen to Zadie. She's being attacked by shadows. Of course, this makes no sense whatsoever, and seeing as how most people think she's borderline mental over her brother's condition, even her best friends think she's losing it. But then who or what put the claw holes in her jacket? She, of course, is being socially mocked and harassed for this by other students, but something is out there, and Zadie is determined to find out what. After a heated argument with her parents, where we see her mother's really a bitch who only cares about her comatose son and really has no time for her daughter, and this really pissed me off because as a caregiver myself for 2 adult persons and having had to clean and feed and otherwise care for multiple adults for over half of my life, whether it was my grandfather I had to help take care of when I was in my teenagers, whether it was my mother when she was basically an invalid before she recovered some of her faculties. Um, it just really it ticks me off that, and I don't feel any sympathy for the mother character and the way she was portrayed in the story at all. So anyway, Zadie leaves home and heads into the shadows, where she's once again attacked by the shadows. Heads in the woods, I should say, and then gets attacked by the shadows. Only this time, a new shadow form appears and fends off the shadows and tells Zadie to run. Together, they fend off the attack, and Zadie realizes that the shadow creature who protected is her brother Ricky. Gotta say, great first issue. Only problem I have with it was the one-note characterization of the mother. It really did take me out of the story. It pissed me off to no end. I got to admit that. I'm not saying it's not plausible that a person would do that, but as I've seen it, because I've seen that kind of trope played out in enough movies and TV shows, and I've experienced that kind of constant drag as a responsibility, but having experienced it, I'm not buying into it. Like I said, when my parents and I had to take care of my grandfather, it was all hands on deck whenever all of us were home, and my mother got to go have her me time. And, you know, it wasn't like my mother just like only took care of her father and didn't have any time for me as her son. It's very annoying. So I don't buy that Zadie and her father aren't pitching in and doing their part, and so I don't buy into the rant mode that the character goes in the story. I grant you, it's not really a hill to die on. It's just part of the story. But I do hope to see it better addressed as to why there's this dysfunction between Zadie and her mother in future issues. Overall, it's definitely worth picking up. I recommend it for ages 13 and up for the most part so far, and it is a 4.5-star book. Our next thing is to look at some of the artwork, and this is where she's getting attacked in the woods by the shadow creature, and you can see the Ricky here kind of like being in a Superman pose attacking. It's just really well done inks, really well done shadow effects and lighting effects here by Garbett and Fabello for the colors. Just really well done. And more artwork. It's really well done. And then she has her cell phone with her, and that light from the cell phone chases off the shadow monsters, and they have a conversation about something that was said. And she has a realization because she was talking to him while she was talking to her brother earlier in the story while he was in the bed, and she said, "I hate you for, being in a coma," basically. And now, now whether or not that's actually her brother or there's something else going on, we don't know yet, of course, but we'll see where it goes. And it's a really nice book so far. So that'll be really cool to watch. Hopefully my signal will not drop out. It looks like it's kind of going low for some reason. But let's go ahead and get on to the last book, Strange Adventures, number 9 for $4.99. Publisher is DC Comics, writer Tom King, with artists Mitch Gerards and Evan Doc Shaner. Genre science fiction, political, and superhero. Released March 31, 2021. What it's about is while the Justice League defends Earth from the Pict invasion, the investigation into Adam Strange's book and past experience with the Picts on Rann, that's the planet that he visits from time to time, are partly revealed to the public, and the League condemns him and bans him from their ranks. Adam goes to confront Batman about this decision, particularly to only give part of the info to the public to discredit him. Batman gets shot by the Pict while they argue, and Adam has to rush him to the hospital. This will no doubt be used to fuel yet more backlash on Adam. There are flashbacks to the actions that Adam took on Rann against the Picts, including use of nerve toxins and other chemical weapons. Stuff that he does not deny in the book, or otherwise anything else that the League condemns him for. It's pretty standard dark ops stuff going on, military dark ops. Nothing the League hadn't seen before. And honestly, how is Adam doing this while in declared war against the Picts on Rann any different than when the League tortures or wipes out parademons defending Earth from invasion by Darkseid and Apocalypse? I'm not saying it's the most ethical or moral behavior, and I get that once you start down that path, where do you draw the moral line at in the justification of a war against your enemies? But King is really laying it on thick and presenting everything in favor of Adam and making the League look pretty damn petty and hypocritical here. Alana, that's Adam's wife, plays this out in the media and gets the population behind Adam as well, which doesn't feel right to me either. Of course, Mr. Terrific has more evidence to present, and I guess he plans to trap Adam and Alana in whatever it is that King's trying to have spring on the readers as the gotcha moment in this story. Only right now, that basically means that either Earth's already been lost and the League are under the control of the Pict, or Adam Strange, for all intents and purposes, is a war criminal. Neither of which sit well with me. I truly wish that Tom King would stop dragging this damn comic out and get to the point. This book could have been done literally 3 issues ago. It should have been a 6-issue series. It's drawn out to 12, and it's just like, bleh. On top of this, Adam then goes and confronts Superman after Batman was injured, and it's revealed that he asked the League's help for stopping the Pict on Rann before any of this ever happened, which makes the League look even more hypocritical. Would Adam have gone to the lengths he had done with the nerve toxins and everything else if the League had assisted him in the first place? So as I say, King's laying it on way too damn thick in Adam's favor, trying to get the audience firmly on his side so that when the turn comes, I'm not sure that whatever King's going to do is going to do anything other than tick off the audience. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not looking forward to the rest of this series. Ages 17 and up, I give it 3 stars. It's a meaty, it's in the middle of the road, average typical comic, but it's just, I'm not really enjoying it right now. Some of the art here, and here's something else that bothers me. Pew, pew. Every damn time I see this, he's firing the gun. It's pew, pew. It's Adam Strange and his pew, pew gun. It feels like a damn kid with a toy. Just not a good sound effect for a laser gun. I'm sorry. You'll see it again. There's his gun. Pew. Here's his gun. Pew, pew. It's just, at least you're consistent, I guess, throughout the comic, but it just, not my thing. But it is what it is. Moving on. Last book for the day is USAGI YOJIMBO Wanderer's Road number 5 for $3.99 from IDW Publishing. Writer-artist is Stan Sakai with colors by Rhonda Pattison and covered by Peach Momoko. Genre is anthropomorphic samurai adventure, released March 31st, 2021. What it's about: Usagi runs into his old friend, Jin, once more. Jin has been entrusted to deliver a priceless teacup to a lord by a client, but he's being chased by mercenaries hired by a rival tea maker. The pair have an adventure fending off the mercs, and they come across a pair of orphaned youths trying to make their way to their uncle in the city where they're headed. Usagi bids them to join them and get them safely to their uncle, while Jen is annoyed by this. It brings back bad memories of his own orphaned youth. A revelation, perhaps, for some readers, but, I figured he was pretty much that anyway. Or maybe I read something else in earlier stuff that implied he was an orphan or something. I don't know. They are attacked again, and this time Jen throws Usagi the cup and tells him to flee. In the heat of the battle, Usagi does what he's told, and the mercs corner him at the end of a cliff. Fighting his way through the mercs, he manages to kill them all without losing the cup, but then slips after the battle and it falls and shatters on the ground. Inconsolable, Usagi treks back to the city, guilt-ridden by his failure to protect the cup and unsure what he can do to make up for it when Jen confronts him. And Jen, of course, gave Usagi a fake cup and took the real teacup to its destination when the mercs followed him. Usagi is outraged at Jen for tricking him, but they make up over it. As for the kids, Jen used his payment to set them up with their uncle, something I kind of wish that Sakai had shown instead of just told. I mean, Jen is a liar and a trickster. Just because he said he did this doesn't really mean he did. But in context of the story here, I'm going to give Sakai leeway and give it and take it. I'm going to take Jen and the story at face value. Recommended for all ages, and it's a 4.5-star book. And here's the scene. He tosses the cup, and they run. And I just like the trip. I love the facial expressions that Sakai does here. The trip, the eyes are really big. Oh no, did I err? And it breaks. What have I done? And he's just tearing himself down. And this lovely panel here. I mean, you got in the background in the black there, you've got Gru the Wanderer in shadow in the deep background. You got one of the characters here that looks like a Popeye character. I can't remember what they're called. A little child running right behind him. It's funny looking stuff. But of course he tells him that the cup was just one of the ones he took from the roadside inn. It was not the actual teacup. And of course, Usagi doesn't really completely trust Jen either when he tells him he took the kids to their uncle and stuff. But, again, we didn't see it, so we had to take him at his word. So it is what it is. And there's something else that happens after this, but I don't want to get into that just yet. I think you should buy the book and read it because they kind of play a trick on each other and then get themselves in more trouble at the end as a result. So there's that. And that is our stuff. And well, Nighthawk, to be honest with you, I'm just about done. So just hang loose for just a few minutes. Because I just finished up talking. I guess you could say, again, you can watch it on replay. But anyway, let's see what we got here. No problem. Basically, I'm just, you want to reach me on Lewis.BrightRaven at LewisBrightRaven2, DeviantArt.com, YouTube, Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. Email is LBR7, Quoth Raven, LBR72 at gmail.com or LewisBrightRaven at yahoo.com. Monday is our news and reviews. Wednesday, I will be talking about what we got at the comic shop this week, but I'll also be talking about two fanzines that I haven't had that chance to read. One is called Ink Attack, that our recent guest Ken Meyer Jr. Oversees and makes. I'll be reviewing that. And I'll also be reviewing another one called Endeavor. So we're reviewing those on Wednesday. On Thursday at 9 p.m., a roundtable talk discussion will be with David Hahn, artist of Impossible Jones 2 and The Dusk. And we'll be talking more about The Dusk, but also doing a little bit on Impossible Jones 2, because they'll be just wrapping up the last couple of hours of their Kickstarter for that book when my show airs on Thursday. So we'll have him for there, and we'll also have Benjamin Morse, and we'll be talking about his book as well. And so that'll be on Thursday. And then Friday night is genre night. Well, it's actually just going to be movie night. And I will be reviewing, like I said, the Wonder Woman 1984 movie, as well as Keanu Reeves replicas, and Final Voyage. So that will be our week that's upcoming. So lots of stuff to go on. And hopefully on Wednesday, I'll actually have not just the reviews of those two fanzines, but also a couple of other books as well that I've been reading. But I don't want to say anything until I know for sure I've got them read. So Saturday will be our live draw. And that will be me inking this, which is Predator versus Batman. I haven't quite finished tightening up the pencils off the blue line yet, but I will have that ready for Saturday as well. And I'll start inking it, and we'll try and get it all inked across the entire weekend. So that's what we got going on this week. So now that you guys know, you know what to schedule if you want to watch. So I will see you guys on Wednesday sometime. I don't know exactly what time, but it'll be probably in the afternoon or early evening. So see you then. Thanks for watching.